Hello everybody, Adrian from adrianearnshaw.com here. It's been a while since uploading a video. Been quite busy with different projects this side, so unfortunately not had time to put anything together for you. But fear not, I'm back. And today we are going to look at LFOs, definitely not low flying objects, but low frequency oscillators. Basically they're like any regular synthesizer oscillator, but they move at very slow speeds, and with them being slow speeds and they're very low in pitch as well, human ear can't pick them up, but they're great for modulating sources to give movement to your sound and some dynamics. So we're going to have a look at what Omnisphere does with these things. So Omnisphere has 8 different LFOs. Why do you need that many LFOs, you might ask? Well, you could assign each different LFO to a certain parameter. So I could put LFO 1 to control the cutoff, so it will open and close and do some funny patterns, which we'll look at in a minute. Or you can stick it on resonance, or you could stick it to your shape there. So if I wanted to modulate shape, all I need to do is right click, modulate with LFO, and there we go, I've mapped LFO 1. And it alters the sound ever so slightly. So if I just no, I'll leave this modulated because it'll show you easy in this picture. It's a bit bigger than this one. So at this moment in time, I've got a lovely sine wave that's actually nice and smooth. So it basically, as you can see up here, that's it closing. It's going up to the peak and then back down again. That's all it'll do, the sine wave. Now the triangle is the next one. All you need to do is literally click on this symbol here, and it'll open a nice little menu for you, and you get a triangle. And it's a little bit more abrupt if you look at this. It goes straight up, straight down. There is no smoothness, whereas the sine wave is very smooth. Now if you look at the square, it'll hold slightly when it gets to the top. There you go. And it just goes up and down. There is no smoothness in between. There's no little smooth move in between. Even if I put this smooth on, it doesn't do anything. So it's sort of like an on-off switch, so to speak. It's a square. Then you have a rounded square, which is a bit smooth, as you can see there, and it holds at the top. Holds there a bit, and comes back straight back down again. So it probably starting to get the idea now of how you can use different shapes to control your sound, because we've got the saw as well. That's just basically just goes down and then straight back up to the top. It doesn't actually move back up again, it's just one way down. And reverse saw will do the opposite, it'll go up but it won't come down, it just goes straight to the bottom again. And then we have sample and hold, so it steps through random values. This is great for analog effects. So if you can see, it's not doing, it does bits in between, so it just moves slightly from the bottom. Because these will just keep on moving, they won't actually stop unless I change this parameter at the bottom. At the moment on free mode, I'll just do the heartbeat first of all. Heartbeat is mimicking a human heart. That's the idea of it. Although if my heart was doing that, I think I'd go and see a doctor, but there we go. This is just a random, is what it says there. Just stick it back to sine for a moment. So at the moment we've got free movement, so it just basically keeps cycling. It won't stop, it'll just keep going. Now you can set it to note on. Well, just bear me a second. It should go to note. I need to put it on sync. Yeah, so sorry, I've misunderstood. My apologies. It's when I press note, it resets the LFO. So at the moment in time, it's moving all the time. And when I press a note, see how it starts again, the LFO cycle. And then we've got legato. Now, legato is an interesting mode, because if you saw then, when I played, it starts the cycle again. But if I move smoothly between the notes in a legato fashion, because legato means smooth, it will not reset the cycle. It'll just go straight through. So that's a handy thing to do if you're after that. And then we have this wonderful other thing called song position. Now, song position, the LFO will track your bars and beats of the song. So, according to Spectrasonics, song position mode is the best choice if you want a repeatable results when you play back your track. So, if you've got a nice little wonderful LFO movement going on, and you want to make sure that your track perfectly captures that, then you need to have it in song position mode. If you have it in any others, then you may or may not get the same effect when you obviously play the track back. We then have this wonderful rate. Now, rate's a great little thing. So if I just unmodulate this a second, and then I just put on cutoff and go modulate with LFO. Right, so now it'll open and close me, cutoff for me. Very pronounced. Now, if I want it to open and close slowly, I'll just turn the rate down, and you can see that little white blob now. It'll move ever so slowly. Now, if I want to move it faster, I can go crazy. So if I turn the rate down, now what we can actually do, we can actually sync this to tempo. So I've got my clock running at 120 beats a minute, as you can see there. So if I do sync, notice how it suddenly slows down now, and it will slow down depending on how much of the rate I do. So this is saying stretch it over 1 bar, so basically 4/4 I'm in, and it's basically 4 beats in a bar, 120 beats a minute. Now if I want to, I can stretch over 2 bars, 3 bars, all the way up to 32 bars. And it will run very, very, very slowly. Now I can go the other way. I want to change this to 8th notes, 16th notes, 32 notes, 96ths. So you can start playing around with your rates and it'll sync to the tempo. And it goes without saying what the depth does. Now the depth, that clearly changes the depth of how much that white blob moves. So if I just go to 1:1, if I just move the source all the way open, that means that will lengthen the effect in the sense of make it more exaggerated, so I'll open the cutoff knob fully. Now if I change the depth to full, it will go all the way from left to right. If I change it about just under halfway, it will go to just under halfway. If I don't want it to actually come on straight away, all I need to do is, so when I mean do the LFO straight away, if I want it just to pause slightly at the beginning of this run, all I need to do is change the delay and watch what happens now. See, there's a little pause at the beginning. I can exaggerate that a bit further. So if I change that now to the maximum, it takes about 5 seconds apparently before it kicks in. 1, 4, 5, there we go. 2, and it's off. It took 5 seconds for that when I was playing for that white to open, so I just need to move the depth open. So you can alter the delay of the actual effect of the LFO. We now have we've done trigger modes. Now Unipolar, this little switch here, this makes the effect go in one direction. So I select Unipolar. So I only want, if I don't want it to go all the way down, because at this moment it'll close the LFO. Oops, sorry, I need to change the delay now. Right, say I don't want the cutoff to close completely. If I stick it on Unipolar, it'll only move the cutoff between where it is now and to the maximum. Now if I want it to go the other way, as in from where my slider is now, and I want to close it fully, and just want to move between those 2 points, just do invert. Which is quite a handy thing to do. It saves you having, because the other way of doing it would be to sort of mess around with this, but then you close both ends with the source. You can't sort of only alter one end of it. So this is where Unipolar comes in absolutely wonderful. Now, phase is another wonderful thing to have, because this is this little slider here. So at the moment, this LFO is starting at the beginning of its phase at the beginning. Now if I wanted it to start halfway along, all I need to do is just move it with the slider. Now this is probably best shown as heartbeat. So at the beginning, it's straight away in the middle. Because if I move this now, see how it pings at the start of the cycle is right at the top here. If I move this, the start of the cycle becomes the middle. So that's a nice little handy thing to do. And now the absolute piece de resistance, I think, of the whole of LFO section is we've got 8 of them. Now, LFO 8 is very, very special because it's polyphonic. All these LFOs from 1 to 7 are monophonic, so basically, no matter what keys you press in what order, it will pick up whereabouts in the cycle the LFO is. So if I start playing now, all the keys are affected at the same time by that LFO. So if the LFO is closed, all the pictures will sound closed. So if I just, you probably can work out where this is going to go, because if I just go to LFO 8 and do a modulate with LFO, and because I want LFO 8, I need to go into all mod sources and go LFO 8. Now, if I play now, just make that a bit smooth. Now, if I do it with polyphonic, you can slightly hear, that's really close, that's open, closed, they open, and the cutter, all the notes change at different times. Now, the best way to exaggerate this is if I go to fine tune, and I'm going to go crazy, so this is going to sound a bit odd, but it's just to give you the understanding of how this works. So we get that. You can hear that going up and down, right? Okay. They're moving different times now. So that's a great way of sort of sound design, this using the polyphonic, because you could use it on panning, so you could get different notes panning at different times, cut off changing at different times. So, okay, this hasn't been the most inspiring video in sort of creating sounds and hearing sounds of Omnisphere, but I hope it's been helpful in helping to understand how you can use LFOs creatively to adjust the parameters within Omnisphere. Just one last quick tip, what I was showing you before in selecting the specific LFO, you can actually use that same LFO again. So if you want that same effect on something else, so if I go modulate all mod sources and select LFO 8, I now have the fine tune and the synth shape on the same LFO. And if you want even more granular control of the LFO, what it's actually doing, you can actually play around in this mod matrix that was accessed by just clicking on that magnifying glass here, and you can start messing around with the target depth on here, you know, how much of the target you're actually using, so how much of the synth shape and where it is in the scale. So because if I move that, you can see the slider move. So this is like the starting point of the synth shape. So if I want to start at the beginning of that synth shape, I'll just move this slider to the beginning. To get a more analog feel, I'll just get rid of the unmodulate on there. To get a more analog feel, what you could do is modulate the analog with an LFO. So every single key sounds a little bit off. Just ever so subtly to give that sort of like analog breath to the sound. So like I say, I hope this video has been useful and given you some ideas for your sound design journey. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, ding that bell, leave a comment below. Also, please comment below if there's anything within Omnisphere that you would like me to go into. And there are a few other areas I want to say I want to explore with you, and then there will be a nice little channel announcement. Nothing, I'm not going to go away, don't worry about that, I'm still going to be here. It's more diversification than anything else, but don't worry, Omnisphere will still be at the heart of literally what this channel is all about, but we will be broadening horizons slightly. So, on to the next one. Catch you then.